Hey guys, how's it going? So I just beat Mass Effect 3. I thought I'd give you guys my review for the campaign of the game. Alright, so let me fix the camera here. Just before we start, I just want to tell you guys, I went into Mass Effect 3 with people telling me that the game was going to have an atrocious ending and was just going to be one of the most disappointing endings in all of gaming history. However, I kind of, pressed on. I didn't really take that in the full account. So I went into, Mass Effect 3 basically with that idea and that perspective, and just beating it right now. I'm kind of, separating from the large group, all right, the 95% of people, or I should say 99% of people who played this game, but I didn't find that much wrong with the ending. I didn't. Alright? And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was bad like everyone else just because that's what everyone else thought. This is my general opinion. I did not find anything wrong with that ending. Well, okay, I found a couple things wrong, but as far as how they ended it, I thought they could have emphasized more on what happened after, rather than this is what happened when you did this. And it basically just, was just showing basically the choice that you made, the events that caused it. And I chose the good ending, alright, the ending that Anderson did. But as far as giving you your choice, as far as that whole scene where the whole ending part where you're, I'm trying not to say too much without spoiling it, but as far as that whole, like, the last 5 minutes of it, I didn't find too much wrong with it, except the fact that at the ending, that ending cutscene, they should have emphasized more on what happened after I made that decision. What happened to Earth? How they how they rebuild it, how did they get the galaxy, all back together, and so and so and so. I thought that they should have showed more of that instead of this is what happened as soon as you made this decision. You kind of get what I'm saying? But yeah, as far as the decision to do the choices, I didn't think that was out of place. I didn't take that as an offense at all. I thought it was pretty epic the way they did that with, again, I'm trying not to say so much without, spoiling it, but it's kind of hard. I just, besides from what I mentioned there, I didn't find too much wrong with the way that they ended it, alright? That's all I'm saying. Alright? You can call me an asshole, you can say I don't know anything about Mass Effect, alright, but as a person who played Mass Effect 2 as their first, the Mass Effect game, went back to Mass Effect, then had it imported all the way through up to Mass Effect 3, I didn't really find any problem with, how the series ended. Except for what I just mentioned with they should have showed more of the rebuilding process. And I think a lot of people wanted some epic ass battle sequence, just huge explosion thing from Mass Effect 2's ending. That's what they kind of were expecting, except just times 10, for Mass Effect 3. And then they ended it in this emotional and subtle way, and just, not as much thought. I think that a lot of people were thinking that it just kind of threw a couple people off guard. I think a lot of people expected huge explosions and like an epic space battle. I think that's what people actually thought the ending with Mass Effect 3 was going to be like. But they went for this really subtle decision-making choice for the ending, and I didn't have really any particular problem with it, alright? Mass Effect 3 has a good campaign. It does. If you played the first one, the second one, and now you're playing the third one with your imported save file, it's going to be so much more meaningful to you. And that's why I think the Xbox 360 is the best system to play it for, because if you have the choice, of course you can play the first one on the Xbox because it was an exclusive. That being said, I think that the gameplay was definitely improved. It's much more combat oriented this time. So Commander Shepard can do barrel rolls and more melee combat, which is pretty cool. You can actually do charged melee attacks, which is pretty nice. And you can now customize your weapons, which is pretty simple. I mean, all you can really do is put, like better damage on them or better accuracy. And it isn't so much, painting your weapon or doing any weird graphical effects. It's just adding, attachments to them to make them, better or more combat efficient. One thing that annoyed me with the combat system is this weight thing that they have going on. Why do I need to care about my weight, the weight of the weapons? With Mass Effect 2, the original Mass Effect, you had like a weapon from each class, like your sniper rifle, your pistol, your submachine gun, your shotgun, and your assault rifle. And you didn't have to worry about anything. Well, now all of a sudden they decide to add like a weight system in the game, so when you're doing your loadout, you'll see in the middle it says weight, and the more weapons you have on yourself, the more weapons you decide to bring, the more weight it's gonna cost you. And it goes from, I believe, 200 up to negative 200 or 200% or something like that. Now what the weight system does is it prevents your charge time, or delays your charge time or recharge time for your powers. So if you like to use warp, if you like to use push, singularity, any of those effects, if you have more weight on you, it'll take longer for them to recharge. Now, that is something I believe that they didn't really need to have. I mean, it's kind of annoying, and I was worrying about it for like the first 10 hours. I didn't really know exactly what it did until later. So I had to like leave like a couple weapons behind because I thought it was, I thought it was going to slow me down. I thought it was, going to really hurt me as far as in combat. And some person has their car outside. And yeah, I think it's stupid. I really do. I don't think the weight system needed to be there. It's very distracting, and it kind of makes you feel like you're doing something wrong when you should just have a regular arsenal. It's like they did in Duke Nukem, where Duke Nukem had this whole arsenal of all these different types of weapons that you can choose from, and then you have a 2-weapon count in the new Duke Nukem. It's kind of like that. They kind of like messed with it and made it just distracting, and it didn't need to be there. I don't need a weight system in Mass Effect 3. I don't need it. I didn't need to worry about it in Mass Effect 2. Didn't need to worry about it in Mass Effect. Now all of a sudden I need to worry about it in Mass Effect 3. It doesn't make sense. My fan just went off on my Xbox. Graphics. BioWare is known for making the Mass Effect games look great, and Mass Effect 2 was the best looking game on the Xbox 360. This, I want to say, is... I think it is one of the best. It probably is the best on the 360. I don't know as far as character models. Crysis 2 is hard to beat, and so is Gears of War 3. So, but as far as it being an RPG, it's, a really good looking RPG, and it really is cool. The art direction that they did is really well done. The character models look fantastic, like they've always have, and the game just looks great. Now, that doesn't come with it does come with a couple hiccups though. Those graphical improvements, and the frame rate isn't as smooth as it was in Mass Effect 2, although it doesn't happen as frequent as it did in the original Mass Effect. The frame rate seems to jitter when you're roaming around the Citadel and you're in heavy combat scenarios with people, just up in your face. Excuse me. And it doesn't drop to like anything. It drops from like 20, probably 25, maybe a little bit lower than 25 frames per second. But you can kind of notice it. Then it goes right back to the 30 frames per second standard that it has. One thing also, the game has a little bit of hiccups to the point where it looks like it's freezing your console, but then it continues afterwards. And that happens a lot. It happened every single time I went into a cutscene. It happened sometimes when I wanted to go through doors. You'll see the little loading icon, then that loading icon will pause there. You'll wait like 5-10 seconds and then it'll continue, And, it's just annoyances like that, I guess. I mean, I don't know if it had to do with the graphics, if it had to do with the loading and stuff like that. That is also another thing I want to point out. The loading is... I mean, it could be better. You still have to wait a long time for doors to open sometimes. You have to wait a long time. The elevators seem to take the same amount of time they did in Mass Effect 2. But there is quite a lot of loading and stuff like that. So, you know what? Now I understand. Now I understand where people are... I'm sorry, I was thinking about this, but as I was talking, now I understand why people are mad about the ending of Mass Effect 3. Is because the choices that they made in the game didn't have, or had little effect on the ending. Because when you... Okay, now I understand. Excuse me. The choices that everyone has made was... I mean, BioWare promises they were going to have a huge impact on the story. Alright, the choices in the game. And I think a lot of people expected their choices to be have a more drastic change than it did. Now I understand. Is that the problem here? Just for those of you who are mad about the ending, is that the problem? You wanted your choices to be more drastic to the storyline and its ending. Now I understand, and now I can see where you're coming from. In that respect, Mass Effect 3's ending doesn't really deliver. It has that very linear, story-based ending like you would find in Uncharted or Gears of War. One of those is endings where you only have two choices, but it's like, how your choices affect those two choices. It didn't really explain how your choices throughout the whole series affected those two choices. It didn't really explain that, so now I understand. Hopefully, if that's what people are mad about. Alright, next up I want to talk about is Kinect. I played this game with Kinect the whole way through, and it doesn't work. I don't know what's wrong with these people. Microsoft seems to be pushing every single game to have Kinect because they think Kinect is an innovative form of technology. And while it is, Mass Effect doesn't really utilize it as well as it should. All right, it utilizes its voice controls, but those voice controls suck. I tap on my desk and move the camera. They're horrible. I had to constantly repeat myself a couple times when I'm talking to teammates. Sometimes I would have to, say like 4 times, first aid, or assault rifle, heavy pistol, to get my Shepard to take out some weapons. And I think it's because, it's a combination of my Xbox fan, which is really loud and just annoying. It's probably interfering with the speakers, and then my TV is directly in back of the Kinect. My Kinect's sitting right there, and I'm literally sitting right here. Here's my Kinect. It's the width of my hand if I'm sticking it straight out. That's not that far. I'm sorry. It's not that far at all. Yet I still had to repeat myself a couple times. And it's just annoying. Now you can talk to your teammates, but sometimes if you're talking to a teammate like, or I don't agree with that, and some guy's watching you and it doesn't recognize you, look like an asshole. And then you have to keep repeating it. I don't agree with that. And it's like, that little speaker thing goes like red. It tells you when it recognizes something or not. But it's annoying. And I can tell that the connector is trying to pick up the noise from the game, because throughout gameplay you can constantly see this little speaker like jittering around like, I don't understand, while the game's playing. Like, I didn't see anything, So Kinect. You know what? I saw a demo video, or I should say an interview video of people who got to play this game with Kinect before launch. Some guy, some incompetent, basically said, "I'll be personally purchasing a Kinect to buy this game." Really? You're gonna purchase a Kinect for a third-party game? I mean, and after hearing that, I was like, wow, okay, maybe Kinect's gonna be really well made for it. And I tried it with voice controls, and it still doesn't work. All right, I think Kinect is a it's something that needs to be tweaked more. Something that needs more time to develop before this fully becomes, you know, something that we're gonna use. But it's cool to talk to your teammates. It's cool to command them, but it's only cool when it recognizes your voice. If you understand that. So, yeah, about halfway through the game, I'm just for voice dialogues, I just decided to use my controller because I didn't want to talk to this Kinect, because I didn't want to have to keep repeating myself. It's annoying, you know. All right, so that's it. I hope I got like I said. As far as choices affecting the ending, I didn't think the ending did much to really seem like your choices made a huge difference. As far as the way they ended it with the choices, I didn't find that much of a problem. But as a person who likes, you know, or who enjoys linear games like Uncharted, Gears of War, those third-person shooting, story-based action games, which have, you know, no separate ending, as a person like that, I didn't find too much problem with it. But as an RPG as a person with an RPG perspective, I can kind of see where you guys are kind of disappointed in. And by the way, I already confirmed they're gonna have a DLC that's gonna be continuing the storyline. So, which is not okay, I might add. I don't think that you should DLC the ending for anything. You know, why should I pay for the ending that I should have gotten in the first place? You know. And they're gonna make you pay for it. You experience the true ending in Mass Effect 3, $10. It's like, why should I have to pay $10 to experience something which I should have experienced in the first place? You know? That's it. That's my review. As a score, I want to give Mass Effect a good one, because I did enjoy the game. I did. I pumped about 25 to 30 hours into the game. I think 25. So, you know, it's a long game. Just like, and like I said, you can still do side missions. I basically did all the side missions at my disposal. And you do get lost. And the mission tracking is horrible in this game. The way it tracks your missions in your journal and how it does everything, it's not really well done. So that's something else you should know too. But yeah, I'm done talking about it. I'll give it a solid... I want to give it an 8.5, but I don't believe in 0.5s. So I'll give it a... I'll give it a 9. Alright, I'll give it a 9. I don't like half scores at all. So I'll give it a 9. If you believe in half scores, an 8.5. Alright, that's my second opinion. So, alright, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to go play a horrible... or what's said to be a horrible game called I Am Alive right now, so if I can beat that, I'll have that review up soon. That's it. Thanks.